dream or two that may come true when the time comes.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of upcoming did I just say mads? Well, either way, more upcoming mods. You guys pretty much know what the series is all about at this point. I show you currently work in progress mods by different mod authors in the community. But for the first one, we're actually not going to do that. So what this is going to be called the off-road option. It looks like somebody actually put one of these Jeeps into Fallout 4 after being inspired by the Highwayman mod, which more or less kind of gives you working vehicles in Fallout 4. And even though this isn't a mod, and I don't think this guy that actually put this into the game or took these screenshots actually plans on making it into a mod, I personally felt like this looks freaking awesome. This is not lore friendly in any sense. The cars in Fallout 4 obviously look nothing like this. They're quite distinctively different actually, but it was just so un-Fallout, but at the same time looked so freaking cool, especially on some of those images when he has dog meat and his companions loaded up into the little truck. I think it looks quite cool, and really I wanted to include these more so than anything else just to see if other people thought it was cool or maybe somebody actually wanted to make this a reality. Obviously the framework is out there for it to happen. We definitely have vehicle mods for Fallout 4, quite a few interesting ones have come out over the years, but nothing has looked quite as rugged as these images, and again, I think it looks pretty freaking cool. So we have somebody who is seemingly recreating the Hoth battle in Fallout 4. I'm not entirely sure what his game plan with this is or what he actually plans on doing with it. By the way, some of these earlier work in progress images are, well, very work in progress. They don't look the best, but as you progress down, you could totally see the progress being made. And as you get to some of the ending images, you could see something that looks pretty cool. Obviously, this is a new world space of some sort. I think it would just be kind of fun to have some kind of unique scenario here. Take advantage of some of that other user-created Star Wars content and maybe just create a battle. There could be a simple story surrounding it. It doesn't have to be lore-friendly in the slightest, but imagine having a bunch of stormtroopers on one side and a bunch of rebels on the other side and literally just having a little place where you can go and fight it out. Fallout 4's combat system is a lot of fun, and I think for Star Wars fans, this could be quite an enjoyable experience. So I really like the look of this mod. It's going to be called Creative Gardens. It's a currently work in progress workshop mod, and there's not a ton of details as to what exactly it's going to add into the game, but obviously plants of some sort. One of the major things I'm curious about is, as you see these little clusters of plants, are those placed down individually, or are these clusters you could place down as a group? Hopefully we actually have options for both of those, but for me personally, as someone who's fairly lazy and isn't super into workshop mode, having little clusters of plants that look nice, that you can very easily place down along your settlement to kind of just brighten things up would be very appealing. I definitely like that concept, and it's something I could find myself using, especially in between sim settlements. Either way, I think the plants in this look very good. They're very bright, very colorful, and I think it could really breathe a lot of fresh air into a lot of these otherwise fairly kind of gross or desolate looking settlements. Fallout 4 by default doesn't have a ton of color in it, and if you're actually building up this settlement to live in, you probably want it to look a little bit better than the rest of the wasteland. Then we have another update to the Medic Battlesuit by NewerMind43. I've showed you guys this thing on a few occasions at this point, and it is definitely coming together to look pretty cool. It is only shown on a female character in these images, but with past mods, NewerMind typically makes it so you could use it on a female or male character. I don't know if that's coming with this one, but I think it might be a safe bet. And honestly, it does have a pretty interesting aesthetic behind it. It seems like something the player character would likely use. I can't imagine it being integrated into the level list. This is something that NewerMind really doesn't do too often. But even beyond that, it definitely has a tactical or stealthy feel with it. I really love the little gas mask going on there. I feel like face masks actually make a lot of kind of armors look a lot better. Really brings out a lot more from them. Although one question I have, which maybe one of you guys can answer, where does the medic part of this suit come from? It's not a bad name. The medic battle suit definitely has a nice ring to it, but looking at these images, it doesn't seem medic-y to me at all. There's nothing to really indicate that this would be a medic or a healer of any kind. I don't know if that's just a reference to something else I'm not getting. Either way, it looks really cool, and I'm excited to get a release for this. Yesterday I showed you guys the Winchester 1987, a new pump-action shotgun mod for Fallout 4. One of my complaints was around the textures, and now DPolari is showing us some new textures for the Winchester 1987. DPolari has been showing us a lot of stuff over the past few months, and actually releasing a lot of it too. I keep commending him on that, and I will continue to do so. These definitely look good. Pretty much everything he does looks pretty good. Pump-action shotguns have been fairly rare with Fallout 4, and I know a lot of people enjoy them. Having a nice new set of textures on yours should definitely make it feel a little bit more special. I'm excited to get a release on this one. So we have a work in progress AR of some sort. There's obviously not a ton of details on this one, but we have quite a few different work in progress images about it. I'm not sure if this is a recreation of a real world rifle. It seems like they are going to be taking full advantage of Fallout 4's weapon customization system, so maybe a few interpretations of a few different real world rifles. Either way, it definitely looks pretty cool. It seems to have kind of a Galil style with some of these. And it does list it as an Armalite, which is, you know, like the AR. You probably heard of it. The AR-15 is by Armalite, which is a US company. Perhaps it'll somehow tie into those. I'm not entirely sure. My ignorance definitely surpasses me on this one. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a new rifle mod for Fallout 4, and it definitely looks like it's going to be pretty special. That's been an area where we honestly haven't had a ton of releases as of late. Weapon mods as a whole, there really hasn't been a ton going on. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because we've definitely seen a lot of other mods in other categories over the past few months, but it definitely feels like last year there was way more coming out in the rifle category of Fallout 4 modding. But maybe you're not super into shooting things and you'd rather just be protected from getting shot at. We also do have the classic combat armor. Of course, one of these mods already exists for Fallout 4, but this one looks quite a bit different. I tried to Google some images and I couldn't get like a defined answer, but I was thinking maybe this is more akin to how the armor appeared in one of the original games. Like obviously the classic combat armor in general is, but with all these little spikes coming out of it. Either way, I think it looks really cool. I despise the newly introduced combat armor in Fallout 4 to the point where I very rarely actually use it. I think this one just looks cooler. It looks better, especially when you have that kind of steel plate look matched with some of those brown leather straps that you do see on it. I just think all around it looks pretty cool. You look like a Roman legionnaire. Either way, I really like what this guy's doing. I think it's going to be a very cool mod when it does come out, especially judging off the success of the previous classic combat armor mod. Then we got something that some of you guys are going to like. I'm not really sure where we're going with this, but it is titled Cross 2077. If you guys don't know, the up-and-coming game from CD Projekt Red is Cyberpunk 2077. There's a trailer released a while ago. I actually got to see that game for an hour behind closed doors at E3. The gameplay footage wasn't publicly available, but I made a full video as to why Fallout fans should be really excited for it. You can check it out if you're interested. But this looks cool. Crossovers between those two games I think are going to be pretty badass because they take place in not the same setting, but very similar settings. At least in concept. In execution, they're very different, but both Fallout and Cyberpunk are kind of dystopian futures. Even if this only ends up being an armor mod, it looks really cool, and I'm very excited to see where Nero goes with this. So this next mod is looking really cool. It's going to be called Radical, and more or less the way it's going to work is you will seemingly take on hordes of zombies. That probably sounds familiar, and yes, it is going to be inspired by Call of Duty, originally World at War, and then of course the more recent Black Ops games featuring this. This looks like a lot of fun to me in particular because it looks like some kind of altered game state. Like it's not just going to be the traditional going from point A to point B, encountering a few ghouls on the way. Like you're actually going to be in a certain area and waves of ghouls will run at you and you'll have to deal with them. The author does mention that after you kind of beat the game, you're actually going to get a quest to actually find out how these ghouls are being captured and give you a bit of context or backstory to all of it. To me, it honestly looks like a lot of fun, something that's going to be distinctively different and actually take you out of the kind of traditional Fallout, do a quest, loot, build some equipment cycle that we're all so used to at this point. Then we have another trailer, this time for Fallout 4 The Wall, a new DLC-sized world space mod that hopefully will be coming soon-ish to Fallout 4. This is described as taking you to a totally new location with totally unique experiences, and it being quite distinctive from the base game of Fallout 4. A lot of the video shows you things that look very different. It seems like they actually have a lot of world space work done for this mod already, and they also have mentioned how they are looking for voice actors. To not spoil too much or take away views from this guy, I am actually going to have the video linked. I'm showing you a snippet of it. The full trailer is almost 3 minutes in length, and it's definitely worth a watch. It's linked in the eye if you guys do want to check it out. It'll open in a new tab or in the description if you want to watch to the end of this video. And last but not least, for the final trailer, we have one that looks absolutely amazing. Like, I was actually blown away by how good this looks. And that's going to be for none other than Fallout Miami, probably the reason you clicked on this video. I don't want to take away anything from this trailer, so I'm going to show you a short snippet of it, but it looks awesome. This one is also about 3 minutes in length, and there are quite a few things that look really promising in this one, and make sure to stay after the logo reveal because there's an extra bit. But either way, here's a short snippet of Fallout Miami's trailer.
The rolling sea, moon over Miami, shine on that may come true when the time comes.
This place used to be paradise. Now you got these young kids from up north with their souped up cars. Don't even get me.
So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys want to check out any of the trailers I just showed you, again, you'll find them linked in the description. Maybe give them a view and some ad revenue. But before we end things off, we have today's psychology fun fact. It's actually going to be looking at how true a quote by Jordan Peterson is. This is not really going to be political or whether or not you like him or not, but just if it's true. So a while ago in a video that I'll have linked, he does say IQ tests are reliable and valid. More reliable and valid than any psychometric test ever designed by social scientists by a factor of about 3. So that raises the question, are IQ tests really good at predicting life outcomes for you? If you score high in an IQ test, are you going to do well in life? Something important to note actually though, reliability and validity are kind of defined terms here. Validity means that it's measuring what it's meant to measure, so an IQ test is appropriately measuring your IQ. On the flip side, reliability is how consistent it actually measures that. So let's say your IQ is 130 and you take 4 IQ tests over 10 years. If every time it actually gives you a reading of 130, that means it is reliable and also valid. If every time it gives you a reading of 140, it is reliable, but it isn't going to be valid. So actually looking at a meta-analysis, which more or less looks at a bunch of experiments conducted over a period of time, and I'll have it linked down below. What they found was that IQ tests actually are pretty good at indicating certain things. So specifically, educational attainment. If you score high in an IQ test, you will go on to probably do pretty good in school, and even beyond that, get some pretty good degrees, like a PhD or a JD. But on the flip side, it is a very poor indicator of income with a correlation of only 0.2, which is very low. So just because you score quite well on an IQ test doesn't mean you're going to make a lot of money in life. So to his original claim, it is a good indication of some things, but not all things. Having a high IQ doesn't mean you're set, and having a low IQ doesn't mean you're screwed. And the last part of that statement is just one of those things that's really hard to verify. That is that IQ tests are better by a factor of 3. I mean, yes, there are IQ tests that are more valid and reliable than other psychological tests, but unless you go out and literally test every test head to head, how would you know if it's more reliable than a factor of 3? It's just one of those claims that's really hard to falsify, which is something scientists really don't tend to do. Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.